Today, we're diving into another vibrant city of the Portland metro area called Hillsboro, Oregon. So we get asked a lot about the ins and outs of living in Hillsboro, and that's exactly what we're going to uncover in today's video. Now, Hillsboro isn't just a dot on the map. It is a bustling city with a unique blend of technology, community, and charm. From being a hub for major tech companies to offering a wide variety of living, Hillsboro has a lot to offer its residents. But, of course, no place is perfect, right, Erica?
That's right. From traffic to the cost of living, we'll be delving into the pros and cons to give you a comprehensive look at what life in Hillsboro is really like.
And we're getting after it right now.
If this is the first time on our channel, hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you can be the first to know when a new video hits that Portland life. And if you're making the move and want to learn more, all of our information is in the description below. Isn't that cool?
It is so great.
We would love to help you make a smooth move here to Portland. Okay, so a little bit about Hillsboro to get us started. It's located in Washington County, which is just west of Portland. Looking at a map, it's not super close. It's only about a 30 or 40 minute drive to get downtown. Hillsboro is probably one of our largest Westside metro cities. It's got a population of about 110,000 people. It butts up against farmland, the urban growth boundary, which is further out. And we're going to share why there's pros and cons to that.
Now, Hillsboro started as a farm community back in the day, and what really put it on the map was Intel. Yes, the Fortune 500 company that we always talk about.
Yep.
It took roots in Hillsboro in 1974, and since then has grown all over Hillsboro with multiple campuses, and it employs over 20,000 people. So the demand and the population has continued to grow, and various other tech companies have made roots in Hillsboro, giving us the name the Silicon Forest. All right, so one of the pros, jumping right in, is one of the obvious ones that we kind of always talk about, which is you've got a ton of economic opportunities like jobs in the high-tech field. Now,
Silicon Forest.
For Silicon Forest, it's not just Intel. There's other companies like Maxim and many other companies that get a lot of attention for people moving out to the Hillsboro area. And so when you're thinking about living in Hillsboro, you really do think about living as close as you can to work so that you're not having these really long commutes. And Hillsboro butts up against Beaverton, which we've done another video on Beaverton, but a lot of times people just want to live in that community of Hillsboro because they're living and working in it.
Well, and the nice thing about Hillsboro too is that you are a little bit more farmish. You're closer to the farmland. You're not quite so city-ish. And so that's kind of a nicer feel for some people. And they're still close to Beaverton, especially if they're like Nike folks or, you know, working in that city. So it's a nice happy medium for trying to blend city and country life living.
So it's worth mentioning some neighborhoods that a lot of people look into when they're moving to the Hillsboro area. And we're going to talk about resale neighborhoods first. And the first one that everybody hears about is Orenco Station. Now, tell us about Orenco Station, Erica.
You know, Orenco Station is kind of a cool place. I mean, when I moved here 20 plus years ago, it was just a piece of land and a sign. And so it's been this really cool planned community that's kind of popped up, but it's not your traditional planned community. It's got some businesses and some great anchor stores that moved in. And then it's got really nice luxury townhomes. It's got condos. And then there have been some single family detached homes that have sprung up around it. And it's a really lovely, like walkable type community, which people have gravitated towards. It's got mass transit running through it at the edge of it with, what are they called? Max trains. And then obviously buses around. And so it's kind of a cool area. Another cool one that people like a lot is Jackson School. So
it's very like suburban, the Jackson School area. It's got great schools out there, butts up against the farmland, but a lot of established neighborhoods out there. So people really love that location for that reason.
Plus you have the elementary school that's like right in the, you actually have two schools in there, but I mean, right in the neighborhood. So you get a lot of the kids walking to school with their parents. So really nice feel that way. I mean, you also have
the downtown area. So if you like kind of that like downtown where all like the city hall is, and there's a really great neighborhood that you're really familiar with that is really just charming. It's the original neighborhood, you could say, of Hillsboro, surrounding all kind of that downtown life where it's got homes from the 30s, the 40s, the 60s, all kind of celebrated in this one area that, you know, is really taken off. And it's very walkable.
It's very walkable, but it also feels like small town charm, which is fantastic. I mean, they close down one of the main roads on the weekends for the farmers market, which is absolutely fantastic. And it's a big farmers market, especially being that we're so close to the farmland. So you get all the local farmers coming in, but it's just a real charming feel. I'm a small town girl. That's my vibe. And you definitely get that in Hillsboro, the downtown area. So really nice there.
And then we got to talk about new construction, because that's really the obvious. When you drive out to South Hillsboro, you're going to see a massive development happening called Reed's Crossing. And there are many builders out there building, not just one, but there's probably at least 5 that we can think of. David Weekley, Lennar, Pacific Lifestyle Homes, Ichijo. I always get that one. Ichijo.
Yeah.
And it's a huge community that is really focused on being environmental, planned community.
Yep.
It does attract a lot of Intel people, because the Intel it's right
Very
there
close
in those close by areas. It's really a smart community that they're designing, and it's got all kinds of housing. It's got single family homes,
everything.
Condos, townhomes.
It's got apartments even. I mean, this is a community that's been 20 years in the making, and it's massive. I think there's over 8,000 units are being built, and it will be continued to in the next several years.
Walkable. It's kind of like Orenco Station was about 20 years ago.
And it kind of feels like a Orenco Station on steroids, because it's much larger in scale. And then they brought in, more of these anchor stores. The whole plan was to have a community within a community. So you've got your stores, your grocery store, your shopping, walking paths galore. They've done a really great job of creating pathways for not only the walkers, but the bikers, dog parks, green spaces, so you feel like you're in this lovely little community that you don't necessarily want to leave or need to leave.
Yeah.
And it's not for everybody, but it is for some people. I mean, a lot of people.
So one of the other pros of Hillsboro, and maybe it could be considered a con for some, but location is you're not living in Portland per se. You are, because Hillsboro is further out. It's, one of the largest, but in the more further out Portland metropolitan cities. You're probably going to be living there and working there and getting all of your amenities. Very rarely do people commute into Portland or, go and see all their amenities further into town, because it is further out locationally.
It's further out locationally. And then on top of that, you could be like, if you're in deep Hillsboro, you could easily be 20, 30 minutes just to get to the freeway. 100%. So then you're another 30 minutes into town. So, and you're hitting a lot of traffic on those highways, as we've talked about in other videos. Highway 26 traffic is something to be reckoned with. So it definitely is one of those things where if you're living in Hillsboro, then you're spreading out. Maybe you're going out to Forest Grove for other things, or, Newburgh, all of these other areas that are a little bit more easier to get to, or you're just staying in Hillsboro, which it really does offer all of the big
you got everything
you need
to do.
So,
So now we're jumping into the cons of living in Hillsboro, and we're going to just segue into the first con, which is kind of parlaying off
the biggest too.
The last pro, which is it's further out, which a lot of people like. Not many people who live in Hillsboro are saying, I really want to be close into Portland.
No.
And with that comes a lot more traffic and congestion to deal with. So if you're planning on being outside of Hillsboro, like driving closer into Portland or other cities for different things, you may want to consider whether that's the right commute for you, because it is further out and you live there, you work there. But the traffic, just getting on Highway 26, there's no quick way around it. You don't take back roads per se to get, it's either a freeway or you're taking really long back roads that used to be back roads, but are now more congested because all of the building that's happening in the Washington County area.
Yeah, so and as we talked about previously in this video, Reed's Crossing, which is this big, massive development, is just bringing in copious amounts of people to this location, and the infrastructure has not been expanded enough to accommodate for all these people. So roads like TV Highway or Cornelius Pass to get out to Highway 26, these are just busy, packed up roads, especially at those high peak travel times. So, it's a big city. It's almost 26 square miles.
Yeah.
And some of that is farmland and some of it is, more dense areas. And they're trying to make it more dense with any new construction that's happening. So definitely something to keep in mind that, if you're living on, very deep Hillsboro, but yet you need to get out to a freeway, like that's going to increase your travel time dramatically, because traveling at peak times across this, 26 square miles is going to take a moment. But it's kind of the name of the game. Everybody wants to get more dense because we don't have the land to build on.
Yeah, I would even go as far to say if you plan on living in Hillsboro, but you're commuting, closer into Westside or even on the east side, it would be, you really need to think about that, because the traffic and commute times are going to be lengthy.
And here's like a little pro tip. Make sure that when you check your GPS as to what the distance is, make sure you do it at peak travel times. Don't do it at midnight when the roads are clear and everything's great. Do it at 5 p.m. or 8 a.m. when traffic's at its worst.
Yeah, and sometimes we even tell people drive it at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. drive it at 8 o'clock in the morning so you can at least see it. And actually, even on the weekends, Highway 26 is a wonder. Like you can literally get on the freeway on the weekend and go, where is everybody going? And it's also where everyone goes to the coast, but sometimes it's just congested, you know? So another con of living in Hillsboro is its cost of living. Now, lots of high-tech jobs usually means higher paying jobs, which means more demand for that area and housing, and it's risen the prices up.
It really has. I mean, Hillsboro used to be considered quite affordable, like almost overly affordable. And with the increase of tech jobs coming into the area and people deciding that they want to live where they work, it's driven up the demand and driven up prices, which has made it a little bit difficult for, you know, first-time home buyers or lower price points to get into the market out there. It's doable, but it is definitely been driven up. I mean, more so than you would have anticipated, you know, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So another con of living in Hillsboro, which you wouldn't think would be, is the weather. In Portland, we have a microclimate. And so, you know, Community A or Hillsboro is going to be a lot different than downtown Portland. It's going to be a lot different than, say, Newburgh or Beaverton. And part of the reason for that is that, you know, we have the Coast Range and Hillsboro's getting pretty close to the base of the Coast Range. And it just gets hit a little bit harder. And because it is further out away from, you know, all the energy of the city, you get a little bit colder temperatures as well. So you're generally going to be colder, wetter, all the things that you don't want to be. Generally not even warmer in the summer. So just something to keep in mind that like microclimates are a big thing here because we have such a varied terrain. It really does affect different areas differently. You know, so like I have friends who maybe live out in Yamhill or different locations, and their weather's going to be very different than my weather, even though we're relatively close together.
Yeah. Sometimes Erica and I call each other. We're like, "What? Yeah. Is it snowing where you're at? No, it's not snowing where I'm at." You know. So it is. She's right. There's lots of like micro climates within the Portland metro area just because of our terrain and topography.
But, you know, just something to think about, being that you're so close to the Coast Range. Coast Range gets hit very hard with rain and snow, all of those things. And so because you're just on the other side of it, you're going to see a lot more of it.
So the last con we're going to talk about of living in Hillsboro area is the urban sprawl. And we've talked about the urban growth boundary, which is this imaginary circle that goes all the way around the Portland metro area that keeps urban sprawl from happening. But in Hillsboro, there's a lot of land still yet to be developed. Yeah. It's probably the biggest area that they are developing currently in the Portland metro area because there's so many people moving to that area out there. And there's a lot of negatives that come with urban sprawl, right?
Yeah, so I think, you know, Hillsboro used to be considered this kind of like small country bumpkin type town, and it had a charm to it. It still does in the downtown area. However, as we've seen these new developments like Reed's Crossing, which are big, you know, cookie cutter type areas, it's starting to lose its charm a little bit. And that, I think, for some people is a little bit of a con if you're looking for a little bit more unique area to live in or want it to have a little bit more character. So as we see, you know, more development happening, which, I mean, because it is on the border of the urban growth boundary with enough legislation and enough demand, it will eventually push out even further, and it's going into the farmland. So it has, you know, it's going to get developed at some point. So that's just one of those unfortunate things, is that the sprawl is going to happen even more than it already is happening currently.
If you found this video helpful or insightful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with anyone you think who might be interested in exploring more about Hillsboro. And of course, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more real estate tips, community spotlights, and property insights. We love hearing from you, so drop your thoughts, questions, or your own Hillsboro experiences in the comments below. What's your favorite part about living in or around Hillsboro? What do you think the pros and cons are? As always, it's been our pleasure being your guide to Portland life through our channel. And until next time, we'll see you on the next video.